Welcome to Delta Halo, the podcast for all things Halo 5. You've completed your mission, Spartan Lock. Mine is just... jeez, forget it. Let's move on. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by Delta Halo. I'm Sergeant, and alongside me is my co-host Kat.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Things are looking up for the Halo 5 community right now. There's so much news that came out. I'm going to give you everyone a quick rundown of what we're going to go through on this episode, starting off with the carnage so far, all the way through the campaign to multiplayer. Lots of stuff happening there. Talk about rec packs and the funding coming out of that. The community playdate that 343 had with Warzone this past week was so cool and such an awesome experience. I can't wait to talk about that. Then we'll go into a new Halo PvP subreddit that just came up, and then flow into the weekly intel as we always have each week. And this week we're talking about the story, the campaign, all the lore. You're not going to want to miss this one. Really looking forward to talking about it. So let's dive in. Kat, why don't you drive us through the Carnage report so far?
So first I wanted to touch down on the crowdfunding project that 343 has going on through the rec pack sales. The proceeds from that go through to the prize pool for the Halo World Championship. 500K went through, so now we're up to $1.5 million. That's pretty cool that they're adding. I mean, you get something for buying the rec packs, you know?
It's awesome. That's such a huge prize pool for the Halo World Championships. I can't remember what the prize was last year. I think it was, maybe 75,000
for the Halo 2 arcade or anniversary. Remember when we tried to play that? Oh man.
Yeah, it didn't go over so well.
We got devastated.
Yeah, that was a little tough, but in this case, it's so awesome to see $500,000 has come directly from the rec pack sales, and that's huge. The $1.5 million prize pool right now is only $600K off of the League of Legends World Championship prize pot. And you think about that with how large of a following that game has worldwide, that's pretty amazing. So starting right at the top with just some high-level stats. It's really cool to see everything accumulated together. So fans have logged over 21 million hours of total gameplay, 12 million of hours in campaign mode alone, which we'll talk about more, and it's a great story, so I'm not surprised about that. But then you look at multiplayer, 9 million total hours played with nearly 7 million multiplayer matches. That's awesome. That's across Arena and Warzone, so it's definitely hitting a chord with the fan base, and it's been so much fun to be a part of that. You know, we talked about it last week, and we know that the success is there, so really great to see that. And then rec packs that we talked about, 45 million rec packs have been acquired, totaling more than 568 million rec cards. Now, that sheer number, you got to think that a lot of the legendary and ultra rare cards have been played so far, but according to 343, only 38 of the Nornfang and 36 of the Oathsworn, which are the sniper and shotgun, have been played so far in Warzone. And that's such a small number for such a sheer volume of cards that have been acquired. That'll be really neat to see once people start whipping those out more often, and I think that's really going to mix it up out there in Warzone. So next up, we got the community achievers and callouts and some campaign achievements that 343 put together in their Halo Waypoint blog. Definitely worth checking out, guys. It's great. They keep everyone up to date there, but if you don't have the time, that's why we're here. So the first achievements that they're kind of pointing out, which are really pretty neat. Marking Lizard 95 and Q Pones were the first players to earn the first strike medal, and earning it in the exact same minute. So they really kicked it all off, which is pretty cool.
Did they get anything special for these medals?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Other than this awesome call out, I really don't know.
So it's a place where people can go, where 343 calls out random achievements by people?
So they have it in this first post. I'm not sure if it's something that they'll continue to do every week or not, but I think it's something that they're just chronicling the fact that they had so many people playing. Let's show a little bit of appreciation to the community.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like stuff like that. That always spikes my interest.
Yeah, it's definitely cool that they're bringing a little bit of acclaim to the fans, the people that are out there playing the game and making it as a success as it is, and they're just kind of giving us a little nod, and that's pretty sweet to see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there can never be enough high scoreboards, high scores for everything. How many steps you take, I don't care.
I mean, that's what it's all about. And it's cool that you brought that up, because something that we didn't really have on the agenda to talk about is they just released the public API for multiplayer. So that gives any developer the ability to take any of the data that the game collects, and they can write any sort of code or app or whatever they want to be able to extrapolate that data out into exactly what you're saying, all sorts of different types of charts and scoreboards, so that you can see how you stack up against the competition. So that's going to be really neat once people dig in and start to really take advantage of that tool that they just released.
So there'll be like community-made apps?
Essentially. So right now there's Halo Tracker, which kind of makes use of the API that they had. I'm not sure exactly what they were pulling data from, but it's essentially going to be, from a high level, tracking your KD, your time played, and your rank, things like that. But now this lets them have the ability to take any sort of weird data point that they want and to create a chart out of it. So it's like most rocket launcher suicides by the hour or something bizarre like that.
That's funny that we're talking about this. Remember we were playing 2 days ago, and I was saying how I really wanted my headshot count. I just wanted to know how many people I've headshot.
Yeah. You got to get it out there. You got to ask somebody to write that or figure out how to write it. I can't help you there, though.
Pretty awesome. They must have heard me talking about it.
Yeah, that's definitely it. So, a few more stats here. XX Gothic TNT XX is in the lead for arena assassinations with 244. So, you see that guy? Just kind of keep your distance.
Don't let him get behind you.
Yeah.
Probably loves active camo.
Yeah, he's probably going for that power up every time. We've got Greedy Glutton, who loves grenades. He's got 482 arena grenade kills. That's the most in the world. And that was when this was released, so I'm sure it's way more than that now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like someone could get 400 grenade kills in like a couple days.
Yeah, totally. And then just a few more here coming from the campaign. Mike 6687 has the most campaign kills with 7,253. Testy 17 is in the lead for the most campaign ground pound kills with 385. And N7 Destroyer 095 taking advantage of the Spartan charge with the most kills at 455. So it's just really cool to see all these random stats that they have. And this is just the beginning, The API is going to really unlock it, and we'll be able to see some pretty neat stuff. Another cool thing that 343 did this week, and I hope they make a habit out of doing these more often, is they had a community play date where they took their team. I'm not sure. I think it was their, some of their pros, and Bravo was there. Some other guys from 343. I think Josh Holmes was a part of it. They all got together on their 12-man team for Warzone. And for 3 hours, they were in matchmaking. And if you matched up against them, you had the chance to beat them. And if you did, you got a premium reward, like a premium rec pack that no one else would get. And suffice it to say, they went undefeated. No one beat them for the 3 hours that they played. I was lucky enough at the end of the night, probably the last hour they were going, to see Fizzor's team go up against the 343 team. That was kind of out of the blue. I was following him on Twitter, saw him tweet out his Twitch stream saying that they're hoping to pair up against 343. So I figured I'd tune in. So happens that right as I tune in the first game I watched, they were playing 343, and he had his crew on there, and they were They were down pretty early, but they made it be the closest match that 343 played the entire night. They only ended up losing by 70 points. It was 1,000 to 930. They came through with a late clutch boss kill to bring the score close, but they just couldn't finish it off. It was really exciting. It was fun to watch, and I really can't wait to find out when the next one will be so we can actually try and play the 343 guys.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I know they did something like that. Was it Halo 2 that you got the flaming helmet?
I don't know if it was or Halo 2 or Halo 3.
I feel like it had to be Halo 3 because you couldn't really change your helmet in Halo 2.
Yeah.
That was really cool. If you played somebody from Bungie, you were awarded the flaming helmet, which was a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, so that's what they're doing now. It's really cool. It's a way of kind of recognizing those who bested the creators of the game, and I love that. That's something that they did in Halo 3. I completely forgot about that. But now it's something that's it's a total badge of honor. If you end up beating 343 and you have whatever the special gear is or whatever it may be, people will kind of be like, oh yeah, you got to watch out for those guys. They won. Like, that's a pretty cool thing to take. So as we move through the news here, something pretty neat to call out. I've been trolling the subreddits that have to do with Halo for quite some time now, and one just came up today called Halo PvP, and I am really looking forward to getting involved with them. It's a cool looking community that they're looking to bring people together that are trying to take their game to the next level, pretty much just like us. They're looking for strategy guides, multiplayer tips. If you're looking for other people to play with or want to set up some sweaties, that's where you go. And it's pretty cool. I know there was one for Destiny, and they have a pretty strong community of people talking strategy for multiplayer and really stepping up the game. So hopefully this turns into that. And if you guys are looking for that sort of thing out of Halo, definitely head over there on Reddit. It is the Halo PvP subreddit. Definitely worth checking out.
So speaking of community, the voting for the weekend playlist is live. This is the first round of voting that 343 is doing. It's having choices the choices are Shoddy Snipers, Capture the Flag, and Strongholds. I personally would vote, or am voting for Shoddy Snipers. You can vote on Halo Waypoint. Which one are you going to vote for?
That's what I voted for. The second I saw them tweet it out, I went and voted for Shoddy Snipers. I'm pretty excited for it. Although I'm not the best sniper, I do enjoy that playlist. And Capture the Flag and Strongholds are already in Team Arena, so I'm kind of confused at why they added those in as standalone playlists. But nonetheless, I'm pretty sure Shoddy Snipers is going to win hands down. Pretty excited for this feature. I think it's really cool what they're doing to get the community involved at such an early stage in this game's life cycle. Unfortunately, I'm heading out of town without my Xbox, so I'm pretty bummed out that I'm not going to be able to play once the playlist is up. But, I think this will be something that they continue to do throughout the months after this, and definitely be a part of those as they come up with some more fun ideas to put playlists around.
Yeah, I'll definitely be playing this weekend, so if any of our listeners want to hop in a game, I'll be there pretty much all Sunday. I have to work Saturday, but I'll be playing all Sunday.
What's your gamer tag that they can find you at?
It's going to be XXB1AZ3D face catXx.
That's Blazed Cat for you. Definitely check him out. See if you can look him up and play some games with him.
Well, Sergeant, I think it's about that time for the
Weekly Intel.
So this week's Intel is going to surround the campaign, the story that led up to it, and I just want to let you know that there are going to be some spoilers in this section, so if you haven't played through the entire campaign yet, you may want to skip past this part. So Sergeant, you've had a little time with the campaign. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I have played straight through it, and I really enjoyed it. I think the story is really good. I'll get into what I really think about it in a little bit here, but let's start talking about Hunt the Truth. I mean, that bridged the gap between Halo 4 and Halo 5. There's a lot of other pieces of media that Microsoft was utilizing to really market this story, but Hunt the Truth was one that you and I both really enjoyed. It's a unique way of using a podcast that I've never seen another brand do to tell any sort of story. It totally sucked me in, and I mean, the story hooked me. What did you think about it?
I mean, to be honest, if they just kept doing Hunt the Truth podcasts, I'd listen to every single one. Like I don't want it to end. The first season was awesome. Benjamin Giroux was such a good voice actor.
So yeah, so Ben had his voice actor was Keegan Michael Key. He's a funny guy. I had no idea he'd be that good of a voice actor. He killed it as Ben. Like you said, he was such a good character. You could feel so much emotion throughout the entire story, and I think it all came from him. The writing was great. The script was fantastic, but it was the emotion. I mean, the way it flowed into season 2, the surprises you had there. But why don't you give a little overview just from a high level and let the listeners know that didn't listen to Hunt the Truth what they missed out on, what it was all about, and maybe where they can find it.
What you missed was pretty much the gap or the bridge from before the beginning of Halo 5. So this really helped when you actually played the game of Halo 5 if you listen to this, which we'll get into that. It begins with explaining how it got to where Master Chief was being called a traitor. So it's a lot of the scenes and actions and stuff that leads up to that point. So it's really cool to kind of get that in-depth look at it. It starts out with Benjamin Giroux. I mean, he's digging into the Spartan project, and he finds a lot of flaws in it, like they're abducting children and stuff, like a lot of lies. And he just keeps digging deeper and deeper into Oni, and he digs a little too deep, and then he gets in trouble.
Yeah, so in the end, as he digs too deep and tries to bring the truth that he was hunting to light to the public, he ended up paying dearly in the end, and that's how the first season ended. But my God, that first season, it was something that, yeah, I'll never forget for the lead up to a game. I mean, like you were saying, I would love to listen to this, just keep going. Even if it was just a side story to Halo 5, the characters could continue to talk about how they're experiencing it from a civilian's perspective. It's something that we've never seen before because we're always looking at it through Master Chief's eyes or Arbiter or, in this case, Locke. We've never been able to see it from just the common person's eyes. There's all this crazy shit going on, and the universe is potentially going to get destroyed by these rings, but Oni and the UNSC is protecting them. How do the people feel about this? That's something that we've never seen before for this story. So the way that they took that perspective was fantastic.
So we have the Hunt the Truth that led up to pretty much where Halo 5 starts. A lot of the complaints in the community, this is why the campaign is so controversial right now. Like, I thought it was really good overall. It's pretty fast, and I mean, it kept my attention, but it definitely had a lot of holes in it where it didn't explain a lot of the backstory. So like, if you didn't really listen to Hunt the Truth, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff like that. But I don't think that it wasn't a polished game. I mean, the cutscenes were amazing. It was still a really fun game to watch for those parts. Like, I'm just playing for the next cutscene. And I mean, I personally like those games, like a Metal Gear Solid, where it's just a movie and you're always waiting for the next scene.
Absolutely. And the way I kind of look at it is, while I really did enjoy the campaign, I felt kind of like there was a hole. I felt lacking a little bit when I finished it. It was really plot driven and didn't necessarily give the characters a chance to develop at all. As you reflect back a little bit, you think about the witty banter here and there from Team Osiris. You could kind of understand their characters and where they're coming from. Everyone really got to know who Locke and Buck were, if you didn't already know who Buck was. But if you didn't read any of the books, any of the comics, or listen to anything outside of playing the Halo games, you might not have any idea who Blue Team is and why they were willing to follow Master Chief through everything without question. And at no point did any of them stop and think, maybe following our old buddy Chief to Forerunner planets being guided by a rampant AI's voice is a bad idea. And while the two-team system was an interesting mechanic, the amount of time spent with Team Osiris was a lot compared to Blue Team. I mean, it goes back to not giving them enough time to really develop the characters. And in a lot of fans' mind, the main character of the game is Master Chief, and that's who we want to play as, not necessarily Locke, not some guy who was introduced through a companion TV show, Nightfall. But that's neither here nor there. That's just kind of my first interpretation of where the story went, because overall the story was really, really interesting. There's so many cool theories and comments coming out right now that I've been reading about on Halo subreddit of speculation that Halo 5 might be the first or second game in the Reclamation series. I mean, technically, Halo 4 kicked it off when, with Chief being made immune to being composed by the librarian, but everything was fast-forwarded in this game. And if you haven't finished this game, I know Kat set it up at the top of the episode, there's tons of spoilers coming with this speculation. But there are some really interesting moments at the end of the campaign that leads to quite a bit of speculation for the next Halo game. So, I mean, just a few points that I've found off the top of my head and I've kind of cobbled together through theories here and there just to kind of talk about a little bit is when the UNSC was jumping into slip space in order to flee from Cortana. Lasky mentioned that they're only running until we can find a way to fight. That leads me to ask, how are they going to fight? That kind of leaves you a little bit of a cliffhanger for the next game. Going a little bit more, Cortana activating the Guardians in order to create order within the universe and to bring peace is her goal. And if her goal is to police the universe with the Guardians, and does that mean putting end to anyone who disagrees? Or is there a different plan at work where she's trying to bring the Flood back and have those attack humanity? And it's kind of the way the Forerunners kind of put the rings into existence so that they could use those to control the Flood. Is she going to activate a ring and kind of come out as the scapegoat where she wanted to save humanity from the Flood by activating a ring, but in the end she really just wanted to take humanity out anyway to bring peace? And then this is kind of going into the legendary ending. There's a scene with Cortana humming as the camera pans to another Halo ring, and what does that signify? What does that leave us thinking about going into Halo 6? Is she going to activate and fire the ring? But then I think, she has all these Guardians to police the galaxy. Why does she need a ring? So there's all these questions that come out of the game, and while it's interesting to think about, it's a little frustrating because there's so much that could have been explained throughout the game that wouldn't make us have to theorize and try and connect the dots outside of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree. You're not following the Halo lore backstory like that. It's definitely hard for somebody to really relate to it. I mean, 343 has this overwhelming amount of just fantastic advertisement and media surrounding their games, but then they miss the crucial element of being able to play the game and get all the work that they did with trying to make the Halo lore be a big part of the game, and miss that part in the actual campaign where people are asking so many questions. And I understand that they're going to use Halo 6 to kind of answer those questions. I feel like they could have started this rejuvenation of Halo, being on the new console and everything, with a real fresh beginning story of it, with a lot of good background stories to the characters, and got where people actually could relate.
I totally agree with you on that. You look back to Halo 4, and there were moments where Cortana and Chief were standing and they had a little bit of conversation, then Lasky and Chief as well, where it's this contemplation of Spartans being human versus robots and the meaning of humanity, and it lets you learn so much about the characters just through their dialogue, and that's something that we never got in this game. There was never a chance for those characters to just breathe a little bit and for us to learn about them. And it's a little bit frustrating because there is so much to these teams being teams together. There's a reason that Blue Team is so connected with Chief. Yet if you don't know any of the backstory, you don't know why they're so connected to Chief. They're just mindlessly following him otherwise. But you brought up a good point about not really knowing all the backstory to the game and having to connect the dots. And it kind of felt like the marketing team took this game and the story and found that there wasn't much of a story that was going to be given through the game. So they tried to come up with an idea that would maximize the hype, get people really hooked, and they did. They did an amazing job of hooking us with the idea of hunting the truth and kind of the opposition of Master Chief and Locke, and they did a great job of it. I just wish that the story followed through within the game. And although we're kind of taking a lot away from the story, the campaign is a ton of fun, guys. This isn't to say that 343 didn't do a good job with the campaign. It's a lot of fun, and it takes you to some really cool places that's really unexpected. And there were definitely times where I was really sucked into the story. These are just some critiques, things that we would have liked to see otherwise, but overall, the campaign was really fun, and I enjoyed it. How far are you through it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a good couple hours into it. I just like some of the campaign game mechanics, like having it's like being cooperative, even if you don't have your friends online and they can jump in. I like the that they have the ability to heal you and stuff and resurrect you back up. I really like that part of the game, so I don't feel like I'm just like dying and running through the same part of it over and over again.
That's true. That's something new that they hadn't had in the game before, because you're usually running, lone wolf. But that was pretty interesting. I had times where I would get a little over aggressive, and I'd run up to start fighting a warden, or I don't even know what I was doing, but I wasn't thinking. I'd run up, and I'd get gunned down, and I'm sitting there calling for help. And as the rest of my squad starts running over, my fire team comes to help me. They just get gunned down one after the other. I had to reset a few times because I called them all in to basically get killed.
Yeah, that's cool that you can give them commands and stuff and have them follow you, or like set a mark so they attack that person. Definitely really cool elements that they added into the game. And when you're playing with your friends, it just makes it even that much better. I know co-op campaigns were going to be the thing for next gen consoles, so they did good by adding that in there. It's a bummer that they took split screen out. Not that I really use it anymore. It's just from the roots of Halo. It kind of bugs me, but it's not like I even use it. So it's weird that it bugs me. It just kind of does.
I feel the same way a little bit. I'm split about it. On one hand, I never use it. I will never game with anyone else in the same room as me with Halo, probably ever again. But you got to think, I kind of go back to, thinking about people with families, dads that are trying to get their kids into it, or playing with significant others, or whatever it may be. They don't have that option anymore, and that's a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah, it makes me kind of emotional. I grew up with that split screen. It's what got me into gaming. So no one's ever going to feel that gratitude of split screen and screen peeking and all the good stuff that comes with that, and the fighting.
Yeah, that's true. I totally get that. That's where I came from as well with split screen. We talked about that in our pilot episode, and those are some super memorable nights, and people can't have those anymore. But on the plus side, the Xbox Live has made it easier than ever for people to have that same experience while not being in the same place. So there are ways around it. It's not the same exact experience. It changes, but in the end, definitely a little bit of a bummer that happened. But let's not let that get us down. We'll move into this music break on a high note. See you in a few, guys. Hey guys, Sergeant here. I want to take a little bit of time to just say thank you for tuning in to our podcast, Delta Halo. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe. It means a lot and keeps us motivated to make more episodes. And if you're looking for other ways to keep in touch with us and follow some of the things that we're doing, there's so many ways to do it. For one, the podcast can be found on iTunes and Podcast Addict for Android, and even on SoundCloud. You can find us on YouTube at Espawn Gaming, and give us your feedback and follow us on Twitter at Part-Time Elite. You can ask questions directly to myself, SGTxBobcat on Twitter, or Cat at RobCat7. And if you haven't found a Spartan company yet, come on down to Espawn Gaming. We're always looking for more members to join up and play games with. So just enlist today, and we'll see you online tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in.
All right, Sergeant, I think it's time for
Community Shoutouts.
Do you have anyone on your list for shoutouts for this episode?
I think this week we've only got one, and it's a good one. We're going to shout out to the Reddit Halo community. From lore seekers to PvPers, those guys are holding it down over there. There's so many subreddits that fall under the Halo game. Halo Story, Halo PvP. There's so many more to check out. But if you're looking for anything that has to do with Halo in Reddit, that is where you go. Those guys have it locked down. They have some great content, really good discussions. Definitely check it out. We post over there every once in a while. You'll see us popping up here or there. I'm quite the lurker myself, but I'll come out every once in a while to share some words of wisdom. So Reddit Halo community, you guys are awesome. And on that note, we'll wrap up the episode. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.